Okay, so we're now on to an introduction to probability, and probability is a really, really nice topic in maths, and let's just get straight into it. Okay, so in life, right, a lot of things, or in life, or in maths, are certain. So, for example, 2 plus 3 equals 5. That is certain because there's only one answer, right? 2 plus 3, it has to equal 5. And similarly, 10 times 4, it has to equal 2 to 40. But in the real world, things aren't always so predictable. So, for example, you can't say that Liverpool will definitely win the Premier League, even though that would be fantastic for Liverpool to win the Premier League. You can't say with certainty, even though right now, as I'm recording this, which is during Christmas time, Liverpool are basically 9 points clear, and it's looking good for them. You can't say 100% that they will win the league because you could get injuries, things might happen, they might lose loads of games suddenly. There's always a chance they might not win it. Okay. And also, another example, if you flip a coin, the outcome is random. It's unpredictable. Okay, so you could get a heads or a tails. It's a random outcome. It's unpredictable. If you roll a dice, okay, so over here, the outcome is random. You might get a 1, you might get a 3, you might get a 6, okay? So probability is how likely something is to happen, okay? You could say that the probability that Liverpool will win the league because they're top and they're doing really well is likely, but it's not certain, okay? Probability is how likely something is to happen. So there we go, it's up there again. And we can use a probability scale is useful in helping us understand probability. And in words, this is the probability scale. You've got things that are certain all the way things to being impossible. And in the middle, you've got things being an even chance with unlikely and likely kind of being in between. So for example, the sun will rise tomorrow is certain to happen. You might say that the world might just blow up tomorrow, but right, in real terms, the sun is 100% sure to rise tomorrow. Okay, that is a certain event that has to happen. Something that has an even chance of happening is if you flip a coin, getting a tails on a coin toss, because on a coin you can either get a heads or you can get a tails, right? You've got a 50-50 chance of getting one of those two. So that's an even chance. And something that is impossible is getting a 9 on a 6-sided dice, because a 6-sided dice, you can get a 1, you can get a 2, you can get a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. There is not a 9 on a dice, so that is an impossible outcome. So that is the probability scale in words, but you can also represent probability in different ways. In words, as you can see here, in fractions, decimals, and percentages. So for example, we've seen it already in words, but you can express this as fractions. So if something is certain to happen, the probability is going to be 1 as a fraction, okay? If it's impossible, it's going to be 0. And then in between, you've got an even chance, okay, because here you've got 0, and the rest are going to be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. Okay, the even chance is 5 out of 10, which is the same thing as 1/2. So probability is always between, when you use fractions, between 0 and 1. You cannot have a probability bigger than 1, and you cannot have a probability less than 0. It is between 0 and 1. And an even chance is a half, like getting a tails on a coin toss. Okay, as a decimal, it's the same thing, but just in decimals, so there you go. Okay, again, it is between 0 and 1. That is crucial, with the even chance being 0.5. And then as a percentage, okay, it's between 100% and 0. They all mean the same thing, okay, but you might see it expressed in different ways. But again, it's between 0 and percentage, 1 as a percentage. We're talking about 100% here, okay, with in between being 50% and then these values being here. So you might see probability expressed either as words, fractions, decimals, or percentages. Okay, but probability is between 0 and 1, or as a percentage, 0 and 100%. You cannot go above those or below those. That's a really important idea. Okay, so yeah, let's look at this idea now of getting a tails on a coin toss. We're going to look at this in a little bit more detail. So we said that the probability, the chance of getting a tails on a fair coin, is an even chance, or as a fraction, 1/2. And we're going to kind of understand why it is 1/2. There are two outcomes when you flip a coin, which is why the fraction is over 2, because you can either get a heads or you can get a tails. So it's out of a total of 2 outcomes. There you go. And we're looking at getting a tails, okay, because we're looking at the probability of getting a tails. So there is only 1 tails when you flip a coin, which is why there is a 1, as you can see, in that fraction. And this is where the formula comes from. Probability is the number of successful outcomes. In this case, the number of successful outcomes is getting a tails. Oh, that's not what I wanted, sorry. Is getting a tails. And you can see there's only 1 tails. Hence, you've got the 1 up here. That is your number of successful outcomes. Okay, so that's the 1 over the total number of outcomes, which is heads or tails, which is a 2. Hence, you've got 1/2. And this is the formula for probability. So I would definitely make a note of that. Get it into your notepad, make it stand out. That's a really, really important formula in maths. Okay? And the way that we'd write this formally in maths, if we're saying we want the probability of getting a tails, you write it like this, where the capital P means the probability, and then the bracket part tails, we read it, the probability of a tails. That is what this bit here reads. And this is really good mathematical notation. That just means how we write things. So the probability of getting a tails is equal to 1 over 2. And there we go. Okay, again, just saying your number of successful outcomes, the top part of the formula is 1, over the total number of outcomes is simply 2. So if we just look at another quick example here, it says what is the probability of getting a 3 on a fair 6-sided dice? And on a 6-sided dice, there's your formula again. We know there are 6 outcomes. You can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6. So we can say the probability, P, of getting a 3, okay, that's how you read it. Oh, sorry, I should say probability of getting a 3. I've got to change that. Sorry. Of getting a 3 is equal to the number of successful outcomes. Well, you're looking for a 3. You can see that there's 1 3 here, which is why you've got a 1 there, over the total number of outcomes. This bottom part, you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 outcomes in total, hence you've got a 6 there. Okay, and there you go. Perfect. And just a quick little thing, what you could also do, right, this is your answer as a fraction. You could give this as a decimal if you wanted to, and you could go and type in 1 divided by 6. But the issue here is, right, you'd get an awkward decimal, you get 0.16 recurring, but you could do that if you wanted to. And then as a percentage, you can times it by 100, and you could write something like 16.6 recurring percent. All of these things here, they mean exactly the same thing. That as a fraction, as a decimal, and a percentage. Typically, I like to use mostly fractions with probability or decimals, but you can use any. Okay, it's just recognizing that. And that is an introduction to probability, and hopefully that was useful. And we'll go on to the next video, which is looking at sample space. Okay, thank you for watching.